From the initial moment you consume creatine, something quiet yet significant starts happening below the skin, well ahead of any visible changes you can detect. It's almost like your system activates a concealed mechanism, triggering a biological transformation that primes your tissues for enhanced capability. Many assume creatine functions solely to boost muscular power, though the earliest transformations are much more fundamental. These modifications establish the foundation upon which every subsequent advantage emerges. When creatine arrives in your body, your tissues start pulling it in like a nutrient they've been anticipating. This absorption isn't accidental. Your muscle fibers retain the bulk of creatine, expecting increased energy requirements. Remarkably, even inactive individuals undergo this initial adjustment, demonstrating that creatine's impact reaches far beyond fitness communities. Your system reacts because creatine isn't unfamiliar. It's a compound your body inherently understands how to utilize. Within the first 24 hours of taking creatine, something subtle but powerful begins. But here's what confuses most people. You feel absolutely nothing, yet your muscle cells are already changing at the molecular level. Why does your body respond to creatine instantly while your conscious awareness remains completely oblivious? Your muscle cells don't treat creatine like a foreign substance, they recognize it instantly. Your body already produces small amounts naturally. The difference is that supplementation floods your system with far more than your liver and kidneys can make on their own. Your muscles respond immediately. Creatine molecules begin saturating muscle tissue, preparing for higher energy demands. But here's the unexpected part. Your body doesn't spread creatine evenly throughout all muscles. It prioritizes certain areas over others. The question is, which muscles get it first? And why does this selective storage determine whether you see results quickly or slowly? This uptake isn't random. Your body prioritizes storage in areas that need quick, explosive power. Even if you're not an athlete, this recalibration happens automatically. Your cells absorb creatine because they're designed to use it. They've been waiting for more. During these first 24 hours, your muscles subtly adjust their internal water balance. This is where most people panic and quit. They step on the scale, see 2 to 3 pounds gained, immediately assume it's fat, but what's actually happening is the opposite of what they fear. It's not bloating under the skin, it's intracellular hydration, water moving inside the muscle cell to support energy production. Think of it like filling a battery with fluid so it can hold a stronger charge. The cell isn't swelling unnecessarily, it's preparing its internal machinery to operate at a higher level. This hydration shift is one of the earliest signs that creatine is doing exactly what decades of research say it should. Even though you feel nothing yet, the foundation for strength, endurance, and cognitive benefits is forming silently in the background. Scientists often say creatine works long before you notice it. This is why those first 24 hours matter more than most people realize. Now that you understand what happens in the first day, here's where the cellular transformation accelerates. By 48 hours, the cellular transformation speeds up. But something unexpected happens. It determines whether you'll be a high responder or a modest responder to creatine. What's the difference? And why do some people see dramatic results while others see gradual changes? Inside each muscle cell, tiny structures called mitochondria begin interacting with energy differently. Once creatine levels rise, mitochondria are like miniature engines. They determine how much power your body can produce at any given moment. When creatine becomes more available, these engines shift into a higher state of readiness, allowing them to respond faster when sudden energy demands hit. Your body tries to maintain energy using its normal systems, but creatine creates a more efficient pathway. Therefore, energy production speeds up without requiring more oxygen. So your cells can work harder without the usual metabolic stress, but this only works if you're actually using your muscles during this adaptation window. It's almost like tuning a car engine. You're not changing the vehicle itself, but everything starts running smoother. This internal upgrade happens quietly and consistently. There's no jolt like caffeine gives you. Instead, your body becomes more capable in ways you don't immediately feel, but will absolutely notice during effort. Studies show that by the 48-hour mark, energy buffering improves significantly. But here's what researchers found that challenges conventional wisdom about when to expect results. Your cells manage the highs and lows of exertion more efficiently. Over time, this efficiency translates into real-world performance. You tire more slowly, you recover more effectively, you maintain intensity longer without that sudden crash. But here's the twist that most people never connect. Creatine doesn't just help during exercise, it acts as a reserve fuel tank for every moment of your day. You've seen how the first 48 hours prepare your muscles. But at 72 hours, something remarkable clicks into place. At 72 hours, 3 full days in, the core mechanism activates. At the center of creatine's power lies a molecule that determines whether you can lift that final rep, sprint that last meter, or think clearly through a long meeting. What is it? ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Think of ATP as your body's ultimate energy coin. Every movement, every thought, every heartbeat depends on it. But ATP burns out fast, usually within seconds. This forces your body to constantly replenish it. Your body can only store about 3 seconds worth of maximum effort ATP at any moment. Without a fast recycling system, you'd collapse after every explosive movement. This is where creatine changes the game. Creatine helps regenerate ATP at a much faster rate. It acts like an energy recycling partner. When ATP breaks down during effort, creatine donates a phosphate group, allowing ATP to reform instantly. Therefore, your muscles can keep contracting without waiting for slower energy systems to catch up. But this only works if creatine stores are saturated, so consistent daily supplementation matters more than occasional high doses. The beauty of this process is that it happens repeatedly and without delay, enabling stronger muscle contractions and more powerful movements. Decades of research confirm this mechanism with remarkable consistency. What makes this even more fascinating is what most people miss entirely. ATP isn't exclusive to physical movement. There's a second system creatine powers that operates 24/7, even while you sleep. It also powers brain signaling, memory processing, overall cellular health. When creatine improves ATP availability, those cognitive functions benefit too. This connection between muscle energy and brain performance surprises many people. Yet the research consistently shows it's real. Now that you understand ATP's role, here's what happens by the end of week 1. By the end of the first week, performance shifts become noticeable. But here's where most people's expectations collide with biological reality. They step on the scale, see those 2 to 3 pounds, and panic. Is it fat, muscle, water? The answer determines whether they continue or quit. When people imagine creatine's impact on muscles, they often picture instant bulking, but the actual transformation is far more nuanced and scientifically grounded. As creatine accumulates in muscle tissue, the fibers become better hydrated and better fueled. This combination creates an environment where training becomes more productive. But the real transformation isn't the water itself. It's what that water allows your muscle cells to do. Better hydrated muscle fibers activate growth pathways more efficiently. This means protein synthesis becomes more responsive, helping muscles recover and strengthen after intense exercise. But here's the critical detail most people miss. Even if you're not chasing size, you're enhancing the quality and resilience of your muscle fibers. It's an upgrade at the cellular level. However, without training stimulus, this enhanced environment doesn't translate to visible growth. Creatine creates the potential, but training unlocks it. Over this first week, your ability to generate force begins to increase, but there's a sequence here that determines whether people stick with supplementation or abandon it prematurely. This isn't just about lifting heavier weights, it includes sprinting faster, jumping higher, performing repeated movements with less fatigue. The transformation happens session after session, gradually building a stronger baseline. And there's a fascinating twist here that explains why patient people see the best results. You'd expect to see muscle growth before feeling stronger. The opposite is true. Strength always precedes shape. And creatine accelerates that sequence. You've seen the physical changes in week 1, but by week 2, something unexpected happens in an organ most people never associate with creatine. By week 2, an unexpected transformation begins. Few people realize that your brain uses a tremendous amount of energy. so much that it's one of the most ATP-hungry organs you have. Why would a muscle supplement affect brain function? This is exactly why creatine becomes a silent ally for cognitive performance. When creatine levels rise in brain tissue, neurons gain faster access to fuel, allowing them to fire more efficiently. The effect is subtle at first, but it creates a measurable difference in mental clarity and endurance. Researchers initially dismissed reports of cognitive benefits as placebo, then controlled studies proved them wrong. Research has shown that creatine supplementation can improve working memory, reaction time, and resistance to mental fatigue. These benefits appear not only in athletes, but also in individuals experiencing sleep deprivation or high cognitive demand. It's almost as if the brain gains an additional buffer that protects it from energy dips throughout the day. Another fascinating detail is that some groups experience dramatically stronger cognitive effects than others. The difference comes down to one dietary factor. Vegetarians and vegans often experience even stronger cognitive improvements with creatine. Since their diets typically provide less of it naturally, their brain stores start lower. Supplementation creates a more noticeable shift. This highlights how creatine isn't just a fitness supplement, it's a molecule deeply connected to brain resilience. Before we continue, let me know in the comments, did you know creatine could enhance mental performance, or did you think it was only for muscles? Your answer helps others realize how influential this molecule truly is. Now that you understand the cognitive benefits, here's what happens as weeks 3 and 4 unfold. As creatine becomes part of your daily routine through weeks 3 and 4, your brain gradually shifts into a more energy-efficient state. The initial adjustment period is over. Now the real optimization begins. Instead of relying heavily on glucose fluctuations, your neurons gain a steadier supply of ATP. Mental tasks feel smoother and more sustainable. This isn't a stimulant like buzz, it's a subtle enhancement of how your brain naturally functions. Long-term studies show something interesting about when cognitive benefits peak. It's not immediate, it's not linear. There's a saturation curve. Creatine supports working memory, attention, and resistance to cognitive fatigue, especially during demanding mental tasks. This happens because ATP availability influences how quickly neurons can communicate and recover between signals. With creatine, those processes require less effort, leading to clearer thinking throughout the day. Interestingly, these cognitive benefits become more noticeable over several weeks as brain creatine stores gradually reach optimal saturation. But certain populations see dramatically stronger effects. Who are they? People under sleep deprivation or high cognitive stress often see the strongest improvements. This highlights creatine's role not only as a performance enhancer, but also as a protector of mental resilience. When the brain is under strain, creatine's ATP buffering becomes most valuable. You've seen how the brain adapts. But by week 3, the strength transformation reaches a critical threshold. By week 3, the strength transformation reaches a critical threshold. But this is also where misinformation causes people to quit. They hear water retention and imagine their abs disappearing under bloat. The reality is the opposite of what they fear. Creatine's association with water retention is often misunderstood. Instead of causing bloating under the skin, creatine draws water inside muscle cells. This is intracellular hydration, a form of water storage that supports healthier cellular function. This internal shift is actually a positive adaptation that prepares the muscles for increased energy demands. This hydration enhances the cell's ability to maintain chemical balance during exercise and supports processes like protein synthesis. But there's a specific reason this matters more than most people realize. When muscle fibers stay properly hydrated, they experience less strain under load and recover more efficiently afterward. It's similar to improving the internal environment of an engine so it runs cooler and more reliably. Without proper hydration, protein synthesis slows, recovery extends, and muscle damage accumulates. What surprises many people is how this water affects appearance. You'd think water retention makes muscles look softer and less defined. Studies show the opposite. This intracellular water can make muscles appear fuller, not softer, because the water is stored within the cell rather than outside it. The result is improved function and potentially improved muscle tone. Far from being a drawback, this hydration is one of the earliest indicators that creatine is doing exactly what science says it should. Strength improvements with creatine come from your body's newfound ability to produce quick, high-intensity energy. But there's a specific performance range where creatine's benefits become most obvious. What type of exercise sees the biggest boost? As ATP regeneration becomes more efficient, your muscles can contract with more force, and maintain that force across repeated efforts. This gives you the capacity to lift heavier, sprint faster, and sustain high power output with less fatigue. Before visible changes appear, something happens in your nervous system that explains why strength increases before muscle size. What's changing? Your nervous system becomes better at recruiting muscle fibers, improving both coordination and peak force. Studies consistently show that people supplementing with creatine outperform those taking placebos in maximal strength tasks, sprint intervals, and explosive movements. These advantages emerge gradually, week by week. The most dramatic improvements often occur during a specific time frame. Miss this window by maintaining inconsistent supplementation, and you delay experiencing creatine's full potential. When is it? Between week 3 and week 6, when both the muscles and the nervous system fully adapt to the increased energy availability. As you train with greater intensity, your body receives stronger growth signals, setting the stage for long-term strength and performance enhancements, but only if you maintain consistent supplementation through this entire adaptation period. Now that you understand the strength timeline, here's what happens to your metabolism between weeks 4 and 6. Between weeks 4 and 6, creatine triggers a series of metabolic adaptations. They fundamentally reshape how your body handles high-intensity effort. But there's a specific byproduct of exercise that determines whether you can complete that last rep or fail. What is it, and how does creatine affect it? With more efficient ATP recycling, your muscles rely less on energy pathways that produce fatigue-inducing byproducts. This reduces the buildup of acidity inside muscle fibers. Therefore, you can push through challenging sets with less discomfort. But this only applies to short, intense efforts lasting 10 to 30 seconds. So creatine specifically helps powerlifters and sprinters more than marathon runners. A secondary benefit emerges that affects endurance in an unexpected way. Even though creatine doesn't directly fuel long-duration exercise, it changes how your body uses stored carbohydrates. Because phosphocreatine supplies energy more quickly during explosive movements, your body saves glycogen for later stages of activity. This translates to better endurance during intense training sessions, and enhances your ability to sustain higher workloads over time. These combined metabolic effects lead to smoother performance, less cellular stress, and faster recovery. Training stops feeling like a battle against fatigue and becomes a more controlled and productive process. This is one of the key reasons creatine has remained the gold standard of performance supplements for decades. Creatine enhances recovery, but not in the way most people think. It's not anti-inflammatory, it's not a painkiller, it works through a completely different mechanism that addresses the root cause of slow recovery. Creatine improves the availability of ATP needed for essential repair processes inside your muscles. After a demanding workout, muscle fibers require significant energy to rebuild proteins, restore membranes, and reduce inflammation. With faster ATP regeneration, these tasks happen more efficiently, shortening the time your body needs to bounce back. It also helps buffer metabolic byproducts that accumulate during intense exercise. These waste products have specific names, and understanding what they do explains why some workouts leave you sore for days. Substances like hydrogen ions and ammonia contribute to discomfort and slow recovery, but creatine reduces their concentration, helping your muscles return to balance more quickly. This doesn't eliminate soreness entirely, it makes recovery smoother and more consistent. Additionally, creatine supports intracellular hydration, which creates a specific cellular environment that accelerates repair. Why does water inside cells speed up recovery? Well-hydrated muscle cells repair more effectively and maintain better internal structure. Over time, this leads to training sessions that build on each other, rather than being limited by lingering fatigue. You've seen the performance and recovery benefits, but by weeks 6 through 8, something profound emerges. Creatine is often labeled as a performance supplement, but science has revealed benefits in populations that never step foot in a gym. Who benefits from creatine besides athletes? Studies have explored its potential role in supporting healthy aging, particularly by preserving muscle mass and functional strength in older adults. Because muscle loss accelerates over time, creatine becomes a powerful ally in maintaining mobility and independence. There's also growing evidence that creatine may support metabolic health in ways unrelated to exercise. How can a muscle supplement affect blood sugar control? Improved cellular energy availability can enhance glucose handling and reduce fatigue in individuals with demanding daily routines. In some clinical settings, creatine has even been examined for its potential role in supporting neurological conditions. This highlights how deeply it connects with overall cellular vitality. These broader benefits remind us that creatine isn't just for athletes, it's a molecule that supports fundamental biological processes. When your cells have access to more efficient energy recycling, everything from physical performance to daily wellness can improve. It's a small supplement with remarkably wide-reaching implications. At the 2-month mark, your body has fully adapted to sustained creatine supplementation. But despite decades of research, myths about creatine persist. The most dangerous myth has convinced thousands of people to avoid one of the safest, most researched supplements available. What is it? This is where most people's understanding completely falls apart. One common misconception is that creatine harms the kidneys. Yet studies on healthy individuals consistently show no adverse effects when taken at recommended doses. Much of this fear stems from misunderstanding creatinine levels, which naturally rise due to increased creatine metabolism, not due to kidney damage. Another myth is that creatine causes dehydration or cramping. This belief is so widespread that even some coaches warn against summer supplementation. What does research actually show? In reality, research suggests the opposite. Creatine supports better hydration inside muscle cells, which can actually reduce the likelihood of cramps under heavy training. These ideas likely originated from early anecdotal reports rather than controlled scientific observations. Creatine also does not act like a stimulant, does not cause aggressive behavior, and does not produce rapid muscle gain without training. Why do these myths persist despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary? Its effects are rooted in consistent energy support, not shortcuts. Understanding what creatine doesn't do is just as important as appreciating the real, science-backed benefits it provides. Now that you understand what creatine doesn't do, here's what happens with long-term use. When creatine becomes a long-term habit, your body adapts in a stable and predictable way. But there's a question that determines whether people continue supplementation indefinitely or cycle on and off. Do you need to take breaks from creatine? Muscle creatine stores remain elevated, allowing you to consistently perform at higher intensities. This creates a training environment where progress compounds over months and years, rather than fluctuating with fatigue or energy limitations. Long-term use also reinforces positive cognitive benefits. With sustained ATP support, the brain maintains more reliable energy availability during mentally demanding tasks, but certain life situations make this especially valuable. This is especially relevant for individuals who face chronic stress, heavy workloads, or irregular sleep patterns, since those conditions strain neural energy systems. Importantly, research consistently shows that long-term creatine use is safe for healthy individuals, but there's a specific mechanism that prevents toxicity even with daily use. What is it? The body regulates saturation naturally, meaning excess creatine simply isn't stored. Over time, the benefits become less about dramatic improvements and more about maintaining peak function, physically and mentally, day after day. Daily creatine offers a combination of benefits that few supplements can match. Enhanced strength, improved energy availability, better recovery, and meaningful cognitive support. Its effects build gradually, creating a foundation that supports both physical performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete or simply someone who values long-term health, creatine strengthens fundamental systems your body depends on. The science behind creatine is uniquely robust, with hundreds of studies confirming its safety and effectiveness across multiple populations. Unlike trendy supplements that fade when research catches up to marketing, creatine has endured. Why? Unlike trendy supplements with bold claims and thin evidence, creatine's reputation has endured because the data keeps reinforcing it. It's not a shortcut, it's a tool that optimizes what your body already does naturally. If you're looking for a supplement backed by solid science, proven benefits, and decades of real-world success, creatine stands out as one of the most reliable choices. And if you've reached this point in the video, tell us in the comments. Do you take creatine, or are you considering starting after learning the hour-by-hour timeline of how your body responds to it? Your experience could help others make an informed decision. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Your engagement helps us bring more science-based health content to people who truly want to understand how their bodies work.